Hey guys, what's up? It's Jack and welcome back to another video. And the video that is probably most recent now that you guys are watching or are seeing in your inbox is probably talking about the not so fast Black Ops 6 video, which is an ultimate analogy. But with that being said, I started recording this almost immediately after, simply because of the fact that there's a couple things in that long ass video that I did not really include in terms of the entirety of my thought process. It would have been easily another 10 minutes, and I thought 20 minutes was enough of a stretch as it is. So the topic of discussion today is, what if Black Ops 6 does the unthinkable? What if Black Ops 6 actually were to remove skill-based matchmaking / engagement optimized matchmaking? Now, first and foremost, I want to say that if they were to announce that, right? If they were to wait, now I don't think they will do this, because if they were going to do that, they would have mentioned it already. But at the same time, you never know. They might come out guns a-blazing in the April 28th reveal event, the next event or whatnot. I don't think so, but again, this is all still very much possible, so to speak, because as far as the subject of SBMM, EOMM goes, they're pretty tight-lipped, and whenever they open their lips, it's pretty much, put in a way to where you could tell attorneys that had written it. But let's just think about this for a second and be like, okay, what if they actually did it? What if they removed it completely and kept it off? One of the first things that I will say is that immediately XDefiant content creators and XDefiant fans, their loyalty is going to be tested immediately. And as far as content creation goes, there's going to be content creators that love XDefiant, like myself, and a whole bunch of others, that are basically going to make videos talking about how XDefiant will survive and weather the storm. Because quite frankly, a lot of people out there on social media, specifically people that are just loyal to COD and just play COD for reasons of their own or whatnot, they will one of the first things that's going to come up is RIP XDefiant. That's one of the first things that's going to come up. Or what does XDefiant have to have now? What do they have to say now? And I'm going to say right now that if this were to happen, I'm going to tell you right now, and one of the things that we're likely going to say, one of the things that I would say, is that XDefiant will weather the storm and it will survive, simply because of the fact that the level of transparency between the devs and the community is very strong, and that XDefiant is actually interested in its fan base, and the fact that it takes a lot of things that the fans have to say to heart, and they help develop the game together. And that ultimately in the long run is going to be better, because again, as Mark Rubin himself had mentioned, they're not interested in the sprint, they're interested in the marathon. Okay, so ultimately it's a one game deal that's going to continue to evolve and give more content and more this, more that, and continued improvements over the course of time. So it is a game that is starting out the way it has started out, as we all know right now in this current point in time, that will continue to get better in terms of content, in terms of features, in terms of netcode and everything like that. All of this will continue to improve over time. And as of right now, there's no reason to not trust Mark Rubin and the devs, okay, as of right now. So far, everything has been amazing. It's been a dream come true for people that have been wanting to be heard for a long time. So I think that as long as the path continues to go in this direction, I think even if this were to happen with Call of Duty, that XDefiant in the long run would still be fine. Because again, XDefiant is focused on the long run. Call of Duty is focused on big, heavy punches that will last for a good 3 or 4 months, maybe slightly longer if the title is actually a legit good title. But obviously, the longevity of that title will be even longer if EOMM were to be removed. But the thing is, like I mentioned in a previous video, or a previous recording that I haven't released, is that I dream in a world to where all these games can exist. I want there to be a handful of arcade shooters, one of them being Call of Duty, another one being XDefiant, and then another 2 or 3 being titled whatever they're going to be titled, right? I would love there to be all of those games, and I don't want any of them to have SBMM or EOMM in there, and I want to enjoy the variety of those games. I want to enjoy the comparisons of those games. I want to enjoy making content about those games and playing those games as well. You know, mixing and matching and all that kind of stuff. That would be a dream come true. You know, this is why Battle Royale players have it so good. Now, granted, they're also dealing with engagement optimized matchmaking, skill-based matchmaking in their own right, depending on, whichever game you're playing, and they all have different versions of variations of that in their game, as far as I understand. But the thing is, ultimately, when it comes to battle royales, you've got more than one title, right? You've got more than 2, I think. You've got Warzone, You've got what do you got? Apex Legends, and you got Fortnite. That's like the big three. I know that there's maybe one or two more, but I don't think those are as popular as those. But at least you got three. As of right now, you got XDefiant and Call of Duty, and XDefiant is in its in its infant stage, and Call of Duty is well established, but it manages to make a huge impact for about 3 months that could easily go for the entirety of the year, if not close to that, if they were to remove this one damn thing, and if the devs were to actually be as transparent as they should be. You know what I mean? If they were given the kind of same freedom that Ubisoft is given to their developers, then I think we as gamers we would have a hell of a lot of good times playing all these different games, as well as content creators and streamers and stuff like that, making content and streaming about those games, making very interesting videos in terms of comparisons, having more of a different variety of games to play, et cetera, et cetera. Things would be good. We'd be eating good, so to speak, as some content creators like to say, right? Ultimately, that's the dream. That's the dream. Like, I would love, okay, and some of you guys might be wondering right now, right? Because you've probably already seen the Not So Fast Black Ops 6 video, right? Well, you're going to ask me if skill-based matchmaking, engagement optimized matchmaking from Black Ops 6 were to be removed, if it were to be removed and stay removed, right, would I play Black Ops 6? The answer to that question is yes, I would. Obviously, I would still complain about a few things, like, for instance, the aim assist probably being overpowered and other features in the game that shouldn't really be there. I mean, the fact that we have aim assist is good enough, and you've got all these different kinds of movements. You've got the Omni movement, which is basically like, mantle assist and sprint assist and slide assist and all that kind of stuff. We don't need any additional assists as it is. You know what I mean? And that's one of the other than EOMM, SBMM, that was like my biggest gripe that I've seen with Black Ops 6, honestly. The second thing would be Gunsmith. Other than that, obviously we haven't seen enough, and we still have the event to look forward to, right? To see what else they're going to present in terms of specific details of what we're going to learn, which is going to be about 2 months before release. And then, of course, there's the beta. But again, with this algorithm in the background, that just ruins the entire thing for everybody. And just like I've said in previous in previous videos talking about analogies, and food analogies being the main one, is that you can make the best pizza in the world, but if you put a whole bunch of that one topping that you absolutely despise on that pizza, you're not gonna you can't even pick that topping off because the flavor gets all over the pizza and there's so much of it on it. I mean, it's gonna ruin the whole thing. You're not gonna want it. Or you manage to kind of grind your teeth and eat it. It's not as bad because you picked it off, but that aroma of that topping that you don't like, and that slight taste of in there, it still ruins it. You know what I mean? So that's exactly what EOMM is to me. So as long as it remains in the background, the answer to the question is no, of course I will not play it. But if it gets removed, then we're talking. Then you're talking about a big game changer. Then Scump and all those other retired pros can come back for one more go because maybe they didn't finish being so happy with the last Call of Duty game they played, and maybe they'll come back and play or whatnot. And then you can have an XDefiant league in its own league. You can have a COD league in its own league, and you can have players going from one league to the other whenever they decide to change games and stuff like that, or when players decide to get out of retirement or to go back in retirement and play different games, whatever it is. We should be talking about that, right? As opposed to this freaking algorithm that has turned what was once the greatest game of the greatest first-person multiplayer shooter in the world by fan voting, but right now it's like that by default. It's not earned. You know what I mean? It really isn't. To me, it's not, in my humble opinion. So again, like I said, I want there to be it's really is I want both these games to exist, and it really is premature right now to even judge the game. But we all know that algorithm is going to be there. Would I like to be wrong? Would I like to be my Not So Fast Black Ops 6 video to age badly? Absolutely. I would, because the trade-off is very good, because that means I would get to have 2 different games to play instead of 1. And I can make comparison videos. I can make pros and cons from each side. I can compare the developers and all that kind of stuff. I can compare all these different kinds of things. I want to make content like that. I would love to make content like that. But I have this problem, and that problem is, and I'm grateful to have this problem, by the way, is that I refuse to play a game that basically, plays me. I want to play the game. I don't want the game to play me. I don't want my experience manipulated. I don't want, you guys know that. I mean, and it ruins the experience for me personally. For other people out there, it manages. I mean, they can get by. you know, they could obviously be doing better and having a much, 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 much better time like back in the day when this thing wasn't even a thing. But they still managed to get by. And like I mentioned in the previous video, they're addicted, and which is understandable. And other content creators have made, you know, a couple videos talking about that as well. So yeah, absolutely. I would love to be able to play both games if they remove that damn algorithm from Blop 6. But as of right now, there are no signs of that happening. So far, nothing has changed in terms of how they present the game year after year and everything that they're doing. But if they were to make that announcement, and if they were actually to keep it off and not do a bait and switch, then, you know, the next thing you know, I'd be making a few videos talking about the game and comparing it to other Black Ops games and how much, you know, whether it stands tall or whether it missed or whatever the deal is, what's unique about the game, what's not unique, and all that other stuff. So, but yeah, for the most part, that is the thing. You know, if Call of Duty were to do a 180, absolutely. You know, I'm not expecting a 360 because a 360 is too much, but a 180 in the right direction, you know, that would be in during the course of a single lifespan of one game, which would encompass 1 year. That's a hell of a change, and it would be a change that I would embrace and I would respect. But the one big difference is that, you know, you can, you know, if this change happens, you know, you can forgive but not forget. So in other words, what I'm trying to tell you is XDefiant has yet to betray anybody. Call of Duty has betrayed fans time and time again for years now. And that's something that I refuse to forget, which is why, even if they were to remove the algorithm, I would still be cautiously optimistic. So anyway, with that being said, guys, let me know what you think. What do you think would happen if they were to remove the algorithm from Black Ops 6? Obviously, you know, the game would be very successful because of it, and there'd be a lot of continued conversations about it. But I want to know down in the comment section what you guys think and what your thought process is. And with that being said, I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to watch and or listen, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.